Chapter 1958. According to Old Master Ji, Hung had already left his last words. As long as he died, the message would be passed to Old Master Ji. He seemed to be prepared to die. Master Shi, there are some secrets that I can't tell you, but you have to believe me. I'm here to bring him home. What if he doesn't want to go back? Sigh. Grandfather Ji let out a long sigh. I know, but he's still a member of the Ji family. I can't let him die without being able to return home. I'm old and I just want to find my child. I hope Master Shi can grant me my wish. Shi Shang was silent for a moment. Go and bring Hung's body here. Yes. The Zhanlong guards couldn't wait for these people to leave with the body. That way they would be safe. Thank you, thank you. Tears welled up in Old Master Ji's eyes. He tried his best to hold them back. Hung's body was taken away by Old Master Ji's men, but he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he sent something to Shi Shang's personal terminal. I sent it back with Hung's message. I've been keeping these things for him. He said that if he met a girl named Shi Shang one day, he should give them to her. Old Master Ji paused. He didn't misjudge you. Take the rest as a gift from me. Thank you for bringing him out. What Hung left to Shi Shang was a force to be reckoned with. Old Master Ji gave her some businesses, and they were all profitable ones. Shi Shang wasn't interested in these things and returned them all. Old Master Ji looked at Shi Shang in surprise. Shi Shang stood up and looked indifferent. Karma has its retribution. He reached out to me first. This is my way of repaying him. Take care, Old Master Ji. Old Master Ji was silent for a moment. Suddenly, he raised his head and laughed. No wonder he left those things to you. I can take back what I gave you, but you should keep what he gave you. The dead are the most important. You've just taken over the Shi family. They can help you stabilize the Shi family. If I take back these things, it'll be a bloodbath. It's better to give them to you. Old Man Ji seemed to feel that he had said too much and stopped talking. But don't worry, they definitely won't cause you any trouble. Shi Shang frowned slightly, but Grandfather Ji did not wait for Shi Shang to speak and turned to leave. Shi Shang had always kept a respectful distance from things of unknown origin. She did not contact that force. According to the original plan, they found Lu Ziyue's corpse, found a planet with a good environment, and buried them. Shi Shang stayed on the planet for several days before returning to the capital. She didn't contact that force, but those people contacted her first. The moment she entered the capital, those people came to her door, saying that they were following Ji Hong's orders. When they received the news that the document had been activated, they came to find her themselves. Ji Hong seemed to have expected that she would not remain silent. It had to be said that although there were not many people in the force left behind by Honga, every one of them was an expert. The Shi Shang did not allow them to enter the Shi family's residence, so they stood guard outside the Shi family's residence, attracting many onlookers. In the end, the Shi Shang had no choice but to let them in. These people later merged into the Zhanlong Guards and became the most intimidating 10 teams of the Zhanlong Guards. Master, the Xia family sent an invitation. They said that it's Miss Xia Chu and young Master Ji Ye's engagement party. Engagement party? Shi Shang sat up from the chair and took the invitation from the butler. The 7 major families had always had the habit of sending out invitations. Although the invitations were no longer made of paper, they were still very ancient. Yes, it was decided a few days ago. Miss Xia Chu even came to look for you once, but you were not there at that time, the butler replied. Why didn't you tell me that I was coming back? The butler was speechless. Master, I couldn't even see you when you came back. How could I tell you? Shi Shang glanced at the butler and opened the invitation. Xia Chu and Ji Ye's names were placed together. Shi Shang had not met many people from the major families, but he had heard of their names. I'm going out for a while. Shi Shang left with the invitation. The butler heaved a sigh of relief. Master's aura was getting more and more terrifying. Shi Shang walked through Frost Moon Street, which was full of frost trees, and entered the Xia family's house like a gust of wind. Avoiding the Xia family, Shi Sheng found Xia Chu at the usual place. However, there was someone beside her at this time. The two of them were standing very close to each other and were talking in a low voice. Xia Chu had a faint smile on her face. That was the first time Shi Sheng saw Ji Dai. She was a very cute girl, but Shi Sheng did not like her at first sight. Therefore, she stood at a distance and waited for Ji Dai and Xia Chu to finish talking before she went over. Xia Chu had grown up well in the past few years. She was no longer naive and had become mature. However, her personality did not seem to have changed much. At least in front of her. "Ah Shang, you're here." Xia Chu threw herself at Shi Sheng. "I knew you would come after seeing the invitation. Here, I specially prepared afternoon tea for you." Shi Sheng pushed her away and sat down. "Who is she?" "Ha! Ji Yi." Xia Chu thought that Shi Sheng was asking about her engagement partner. "Her," Shi Sheng repeated. Xia Chu blinked and looked in the direction where Ji Dai had left. She sat down opposite Shi Sheng with a smile. "She's a collateral relative of my family. Her name is Ji Dai. She's with me now." "I don't like her." Xia Chu puffed her cheeks. "Why?" She poked Shi Sheng and laughed. "Are you jealous? Don't worry. You'll always be special in my heart. No one can replace you." Shi Sheng frowned and did not continue the topic. "You know Ji Yi well. Are you going to be engaged to him?" Xia Chu smiled. "I have no choice. It's decided by my family. They're my elders. I can't go against it. Do you like him?" "Like?" Xia Chu tilted her head. A lock of hair hung down and covered her eyes. Shi Sheng reached out and brushed it away for her. Her eyes rippled with a smile. "People like us don't need to talk about liking." Being born in a big family, she had her own helplessness. "You can reject him if you don't like him," Shi Sheng said. "There's no need to pay for others." "Ah Sheng, I'm not you." Xia Chu leaned on the table and played with Shi Sheng's hand. "Let's not talk about this. Ah Sheng, after the engagement, I'm going to the battlefield. Can you come with me?" "Battlefield?" Shi Sheng did not pull his hand back. He looked at Xia Chu. "Your family agrees?" Xia Chu was the heir now. "Yes, I've already convinced them. Besides, I'm not the only heir in the Xia family. They don't really care." Xia Chu raised her head and looked straight at Shi Sheng. There was determination in her eyes. "But I want to fulfill my brother's wish." At that time, Shi Sheng wanted to say, "It's impossible." But this sentence went back and forth in his mouth. In the end, he did not say it. She tightened her fingers. "Okay, I'll go with you. #hashtag today's votes for Phoenix Pill flavor #monthly votes. Monthly votes, monthly votes. Little cuties, vote for me." Chapter 1959. On the day of Xia Chu's engagement party, Shi Sheng attended, but she did not watch the entire ceremony. Instead, she left the venue and went to Xia Chu's usual place. She sat there for a long time and fell asleep on the chair, probably because she had been too tired recently. Someone woke her up. She thought that someone was coming and did not pay much attention to it. She turned over and stood up. The voices did not stop, and someone was crying. Shi Sheng was a little confused. This was the Xia family, and this was Xia Chu's territory. Ordinary people could not enter. Who would be crying here at this time? She was puzzled for a while and went to the place where the voices were coming from. Under the vines stood two people, one older and one younger. She knew the older one, the bridegroom, Ji Yi, but she had never seen the younger one. "Xian, didn't I tell you to stay at home?" Ji Yi touched the little girl who only reached his chest and said helplessly, "Brother, why did you get engaged to someone else? Didn't you say before that you would wait for me to grow up?" The little girl choked. "Why did you lie to me? Xian, there are some things that you don't understand. You're still young. You'll meet someone better in the future. I'll always be your brother who loves you. Ji Yi comforted Ji Xian gently. No, I don't want you to be my brother. I want to be your bride. Ji Xian cried even harder. Sure. Ji Yi quickly covered her mouth. Xian, stop it. I'll take you to Dad. Don't say such things again. I don't want to. Didn't you say that you love me the most? I don't want to be separated from you. Be good. I'll talk to you when I get back, okay? Shi Shang listened to Ji Yi comforting Ji Xian calmly. She maintained the same expression until they left. It was late at night and a cool breeze blew. Xia Chu ran over from the end. She was still wearing a white gown. Her cheeks were slightly red and she reeked of alcohol. She ran in and panted while holding on to the pillar. I knew you would be here. Shi Shang did not like crowded places, so she was not surprised to see her at the engagement party. She knew that she would be waiting for her here. She came over as soon as the wedding party ended. Shi Shang forced a smile. Be careful, Ji Yi. Xia Chu widened her eyes. What's wrong? It's nothing. The conversation just now didn't mean anything. Ah Shang, you're acting strange. Xia Chu leaned closer to the Shi Shang. What happened? Shi Shang was silent for a moment and told Xia Chu what she had just heard. She didn't want anything irreversible to happen in the future because of her concealment. Xia Chu laughed and pulled Shi Shang to sit down. That's Ji Ye's sister. They're very close. Ji Xian is still young and doesn't know much. Ji Ye's engagement with me might make her feel like she's about to lose her brother. I can understand how she feels. If her brother was about to get engaged and had to give his love to another woman in the future, she might not be happy. Shi Shang pursed his lips. Okay. All right, it's my engagement day after all. Be happy. Xia Chu reached out to pinch Shi Shang's face. Ah Shang, smile. Shi Shang played along and forced a smile. Xia Chu's face was full of disdain. It's better if you don't smile. You're making me nervous. Hey, don't go back today. Let's go drink. We won't go back until we're drunk. Okay. Xia Chu brought a lot of wine over. The two of them sat under the vines and drank casually. Most of the time, Xia Chu was the one talking while Shi Shang listened. Occasionally, Shi Shang would speak, but it was all very simple. Ah Shang, if my brother was here, he would be happy. Xia Chu drank a little too much and suddenly mentioned Xia Lin. He would be happy for me. Stop drinking. Shi Shang took the wine bottle from Xia Chu's hand. Okay, no. Let me drink. I won't go home until I'm drunk. You're already drunk. No, I'm not drunk. How can I be drunk? Xia Chu retorted. Her eyes were a little blurred. Suddenly, she threw the wine bottle away and grabbed Shi Shang's hand. Ah Shang, tell me, am I the prettiest? Yes, you're the prettiest. Then why won't my brother open his eyes to look at me? Xia Chu cried without warning. She didn't cry out loud, but just cried silently. Why? He won't even look at me for the last time. Brother, I'll be good. Don't go. Brother, Xia Chu kept murmuring. Her tears were like a flood that couldn't be stopped. Ah Shang, I'm so sad. Shi Shang got up and walked to Xia Chu's side. He pressed her head into his arms and said, Cry. That night, Xia Chu cried for a long time. In the end, it was Shi Shang who sent her back to her room. She walked back to the Shi family leisurely and met Shi Yu at the door. Shi Yu was still wearing a red dress and seemed to be planning to go out. She was stunned when she met Shi Shang. After a while, she lowered her head. Master. Yes. Shi Shang nodded. Shi Yu hesitated and walked out. When she brushed past Shi Shang, she suddenly heard Shi Shang say, It's so late. Where are you going? Shi Yu froze on the spot. She took a step back and faced Shi Shang. Hong Ran and I don't have a good rapport. I'm going to find a place to practice. Okay. Shi Shang's voice was still monotonous. Be careful. Shi Yu looked at the person who entered the Shi family's door. She bit her lower lip and finally turned to leave. Shi Shang didn't ask Shi Yu why she left at this time, just like how he didn't ask her why she approached him many years ago. Perhaps it was better not to know the answer. Shi Shang returned to her room. She couldn't sleep after listening to Xia Chu's nonsense tonight, so she went to the practice room to practice. Shi Shang rarely slept deeply. Every time she fell asleep, she would be awakened by those scenes. Therefore, she could only sleep lightly. Now, she was used to practicing at night. When she was tired, she would lie down and play a few rounds of games. As the master of the Shi family, many people should have objected to her going to the battlefield. However, the Shi family members remained silent. Only the first elder reminded Shi Sheng. These people couldn't wait for her to die on the battlefield and never come back. Xia Chu and Shi Shang's status was actually similar at this time. They both had a group of people behind them who wanted them to die and never appear again. The more people there were like this, the more Shi Shang didn't want to die. Why should she fulfill their wishes? She wanted to live better than them, and make them do things according to her wishes. Shi Shang left the Shi family and made arrangements. When she wasn't in the Shi family, there would definitely be people who would play tricks. However, it was also good. With her purging a group of people, the Shi family would be more obedient in the future. *lol. There are still people who don't know about the new book. Go and look at the new book. Search for my pen name, Mo Ling, or the book title, Transmigration System, The Villain Boss Attacks. You'll be able to see it. Vote for the new book. The seedling needs your care. Love you refills. Chapter 1960. The last time she came with the Shi family, she had been thinking about how to escape and had no time to experience what it was like to be on the battlefield. At first, she was only there to accompany Xia Chu. Later on, she fell in love with the battlefield. The people there might be scheming against each other, but most of them only had one thought, which was to protect their country and their loved ones. They would not hesitate even if they had to sacrifice themselves. Shi Shang had Shi Mu's blood in his body. On the battlefield, it was easier for him to get fired up. On the battlefield, Xia Chu grew, and so did Shi Shang. The Zhanlong guards around her were also growing. The Zhanlong guards' reputation gradually grew, and naturally, Shi Shang's name also spread. Shang, we won. Xia Chu, who was dressed in military uniform, jumped in front of Shi Shang and hugged him. We won. Shi Shang looked at the defeated team in the distance. A flicker of light flashed across his eyes. He smiled slightly. Yes, we won. Shang, you're so smart. Xia Chu's face was full of admiration. If it weren't for your trap, we wouldn't have won so easily. My Shang is the best. I like you so much. Shi Shang patted her shoulder. She glanced at Ji Dai standing not far away. Yes, Ji Dai had followed them. Although she didn't know what Xia Chu was thinking, if she liked it, she would try not to meet Ji Dai. I'll go over and talk about the next arrangements. Shi Shang pointed to the side. Come to my room later. I'll take a look at your injury. It's okay. It's just a small injury. Xia Chu didn't care much, but she agreed happily. Remember to leave the door open for me. Shi Shang left. She turned back to look at Ji Dai. Ji Dai had already blocked her line of sight. She held her forehead slightly, feeling uneasy. In the end, she suppressed her uneasiness and told the people next to her about the next arrangements. When she was done, Xia Chu was already waiting at the door. Shang. Shi Shang opened the door. The light inside automatically adjusted to the appropriate brightness. Xia Chu went straight to Shi Shang's refrigerator and took out a few bottles of wine. Before she could open it, it was taken away from her. Xia Chu turned around and met Shi Shang's gaze. She pouted. What are you doing? You're injured. Don't drink. Shi Shang put the bottle back and handed her a drink. Drink this. Xia Chu took it unwillingly and bent down to get out from under her arm. Ah Shang, I find that you're becoming more and more long-winded, just like my brother. Shi Shang took out the first aid kit and pulled Xia Chu to sit on the sofa. Do you think I care about other people's lives? Xia Chu giggled. Ah Shang is the best. Don't move. Ah Shang, what kind of man will you marry in the future? Xia Chu's watery eyes stared at Shi Shang. She was very curious about what kind of person could have her Ah Shang. It was a pity that she wasn't a boy. If her brother was still around, she would definitely let Ah Shang be her sister-in-law. I won't get married, Shi Shang said indifferently. Well, you're the head of the Shi family. You definitely can't get married. Thinking of this, Xia Chu tilted her head. Then let me ask you another question. What kind of man will you like? Who knows what will happen in the future? Shi Shang shook his head. Tell me. Xia Chu poked Shi Shang's face. Tell me, what kind of man do you like? I didn't ask you who you like. Why can't you tell me? What about you? Shi Shang pulled her clothes down and tidied them up. What kind of man do you like? Xia Chu said without hesitation, my brother is like that. Hee, let me tell you, I've thought about it since I was young. My other half must be as perfect as my brother and dote on me as much as he does. Xia Chu was no longer so aggressive when talking about Xia Lin. She even felt a little proud. It was probably because she had heard too much about Xia Lin in the army. Does Ji fit that description? Shi Shang sat on the sofa and sank his body into the sofa. Ji. Xia Chu curled up beside Shi Shang and rested her head on her lap. She held her face and said, Actually, I don't know much about Ji Yi. But he was quite polite at the engagement party. Let's wait and see. Both of us were arranged by our families. We'll only know when we get to know each other more. If you don't want to... Ah Shang. Xia Chu interrupted her. I have family responsibilities that I need to bear. I'm willing to sacrifice my love to fulfill my brother's wish. Maybe I'll like him in the future? Shi Shang licked her dry lips. Okay. Xia Chu chattered non-stop. Shi Shang closed her eyes. She didn't know if she was listening. But Xia Chu didn't care at all. She knew that she was listening. She could answer all the questions she asked. Xia Chu said that she was tired and fell asleep at some point. Shi Shang opened her eyes and carried her to the bed. Just as she covered her with the quilt, someone knocked on the door. Outside the door, Ji Dai's face was pale and her eyes were filled with tears. Is Miss Ji here? What's the matter? Ji Dai was a little afraid of Shi Shang. She grabbed the hem of her clothes. Master is gone. The family wants Miss Ji to go back immediately. When did this happen? Ji Dai answered instinctively, 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago? You just got the news now? Shi Shang's expression was cold. Now that Master Xia was gone, the first person to be notified should be Xia Chu, the successor. Why did they only get the news 4 hours later? How many things could be done in 4 hours? Ji Dai didn't know how to answer. She could only say, Please call our Miss Ji. Shi Shang closed the door and asked the Zhanlong guards to prepare the spaceship. She simply packed her things and carried Xia Chu onto the spaceship, including the bedsheets. Ji Dai probably didn't expect that Shi Shang didn't wake Xia Chu up. She wanted to wake Xia Chu up a few times, but Shi Shang glared at her. Shi Shang didn't wake Xia Chu up until they were halfway through the journey. Ah Shang, where are we going? Xia Chu looked at the flashing lights outside, her face full of confusion. Shi Shang's tone was flat. Master Xia has passed away. We're going back to the capital star. Xia Chu was stunned. Master Xia had passed away. That was her father. Although her father hadn't been kind to her since Xia Lin's death, thinking that she had caused Xia Lin's death, he was still her father. How could he be dead? When she left, he was still very healthy. Shi Shang told her the latest news. The Xia family deliberately hid the news because they didn't want you to go back so soon. I've already sent people to the Xia family to investigate. They probably want to get rid of you. Shang. Don't worry. I've asked the Zhanlong guards to be on standby. It won't be that easy for the Xia family to get rid of you. Xia Chu grabbed Shi Shang's hand and didn't say anything. Contact your people now. I'll tell you what to do. You just have to trust me. Xia Chu nodded and opened her personal terminal. Shi Shang held her hand. Don't use this. I asked you to set up an encrypted channel last time. Have you set it up? Okay. Xia Chu opened the encrypted channel and contacted her people in the Xia family. The news was similar to what Shi Shang said. Asterisk little cuties. Cast your monthly votes. It's the end of the month. Quickly cast your monthly votes. Cast your monthly votes. Pencil lead. Chapter 1961. Xia Chu and Shi Shang returned to the capital star. Shi Shang did not let Xia Chu return to the Xia family immediately. Instead, he sneaked to the Xia family's house under the cover of his men. At this time, the Xia family was under the control of Xia Chu's uncle, Xia Qingxin. There were guards all around the Xia family's house. Shang, there are guards all around. It'll be difficult for us to get in. Xia Chu looked serious. However, there was still an undetectable sadness in the depths of her eyes. These were her family, but they were going to meet each other on the battlefield. I can take you in, Shi Shang said softly. She often appeared and disappeared mysteriously in the Xia family's house. She was familiar with Xia Chu. These guards could not stop her. Shi Shang patted her shoulder. Have you decided? Xia Chu asked. Shang, if I don't resist, will they really kill me? You already have the answer in your heart. Xia Chu smiled and shook her head. Shang, you can be quite cruel sometimes. Shi Shang did not comment. The atmosphere suddenly became silent. If I'm not cruel, you might be the one who dies. I don't want you to die. Shi Shang's voice was low. It seemed that it was difficult for her to say this sentence. Xia Chu suddenly hugged her. Yes, Shang is the best. Her Shang only wanted her own good. So what if the road ahead was bloody? Wasn't she determined to stay by her side? Let's go. They had to face what they had to face sooner or later. Shi Shang entered from the back of the Xia family's house. This was the road she often took. Because it was relatively remote, there were no doors. Therefore, the guards only patrolled regularly and did not guard. Shi Shang and Xia Chu sneaked into the Xia family's house. They avoided Xia Qingxin's men and walked in the direction of the Xia family's main house. Perhaps because Xia was good at refining weapons, most of the Xia family's houses were equipped with a certain level of defense. It was much more difficult to enter than ordinary houses. It took them almost an hour to reach the Xia family's main house. Xia Qingxin should be in the main house, so the security here was the tightest. Wait for night, Shi Shang said without hesitation. Xia Chu trusted Shi Shang unconditionally. She did not have any doubts when Shi Shang said to wait for night. The two of them were nestled in a flower bed outside the main residence. Xia Chu stared at the main residence with a heavy expression. No one knew what she was thinking. Shi Shang pulled the leaves next to her, one by one, and they fell into the soil. Soon, she was surrounded by leaves. Shang, do you have something to say? Shi Shang was ruining Yi Zi so much that Xia Chu could not help but speak up. Shi Shang threw away the leaves he had ruined and looked at Xia Chu. Half of her body was hidden by the green leaves, so he could not see her face. Why do you think you only received the news of Patriarch Xia's death 4 hours later? My father. When he died, they sent me a message, but the message couldn't be sent. The signal was blocked. They had to think of a way to send the message. Shang, do you think there's a problem? Shi Shang shook his head. It's just a little strange. 4 hours is too long. Ever since I became the heir, they've been constantly planting people around me. I'm afraid those people have put in a lot of effort this time. 4 hours is considered short. With their ability, it wouldn't be strange for them to block the main residence for a few days. Xia Chu did not speak quickly, and only she understood the heaviness in her words. She was probably overthinking. Night fell. The entire courtyard was lit up, and the courtyard was dyed in a dreamy blue. I'll distract them. You go in first. Shi Shang pointed at the people patrolling the main residence. Ah Shang. I'll be careful. Shi Shang did not give Xia Chu a chance to speak. He quickly rushed out of the flower bed. Soon, a sound came from the other side. Xia Chu waited for the patrolling people to leave, then quickly rushed to the main residence. Perhaps Xia Qingxin thought that it was impossible for her to break in, so he did not change the password of the main residence. She entered and killed the 2 patrolling people below. Then, she walked up the stairs. Someone had turned off the lights in the corridor. It was dark. Xia Chu walked up carefully. Click, there was a slight sound from the window. She suddenly tensed up and looked in the direction of the window. The window was opened. A figure jumped in from the outside and landed easily on the corridor. He waved at Xia Chu. Xia Chu calmed herself down and walked to Shi Shang. I've checked the floor below. There's no one. He should be on the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor was the resting place of the previous generations. It was like a symbol. Xia Qingxin would definitely live there when he was in power. Let's go. Shi Shang had never been to the main residence of the Xia family, so Xia Chu led the way. They killed a few patrolling people on the 2nd floor and went all the way to the 3rd floor. There was a biological lock on the 3rd floor. It took a while for Shi Shang to open it. The 2 of them entered the master's bedroom like thieves. Sure enough, they saw someone on the bed. Xia Qingxin was lying in the middle, and 2 girls were lying on either side of him. It looked like a fierce battle. The floor was a mess. Xia Chu frowned in disgust. Her father had just died, and Xia Qingxin was doing this here. Although she already knew what these people were like, Xia Chu couldn't help but feel disappointed. So what if they were united outside? As long as they didn't fight against outsiders, the family would sooner or later be corrupted and destroyed. Shi Shang took out a cold knife and asked Xia Chu silently, "Do you want to do it yourself or should I help you?" Xia Chu took the knife from Shi Shang. She opened her mouth and said silently, "I'll do it myself." This was the Xia family's business. How could she let Ah Shang's hands be stained with blood? Xia Chu approached the bed, took a deep breath, and stabbed the person on the bed. Perhaps it was because of the fierce battle just now that Xia Qingxin was not prepared. Xia Chu's knife pierced right into his chest. Xia Qingxin was awakened by the pain. The people around him were also awakened. They suddenly saw a black figure standing by the bed. They woke up and screamed. They wrapped themselves in clothes and rolled out of bed. Xia Chu. Xia Qingxin saw the person in front of him clearly. His eyes were filled with hatred. He even seemed to forget the pain. "Why are you back so soon? How did you get in?" "Uncle, my father's body is still below." Xia Chu didn't answer Xia Qingxin's question. "Can you be at ease?" Xia Qingxin tried to struggle, but Xia Chu held him down tightly. "Xia Chu, let go of me. I'm your uncle. Now you know you're my uncle? Why didn't you think about the fact that you're my uncle when you set up a trap outside to take my life?" Xia Chu pulled out the knife and raised it high. The blood on the blade dripped onto the tip of Xia Qingxin's nose. Xia Qingxin suddenly felt a sharp pain when the knife was removed. His face was pale. He shouted at Xia Chu, "Xia Chu, how dare you?" Xia Chu struggled in her heart. In the end, she gritted her teeth and stabbed the knife into Xia Qingxin's chest. Xia Qingxin's eyes widened. He didn't even have time to say anything. #hashtag begging for votes 23,333 # I'll cast my votes at the end of the month. Chapter 1962. The moonlight shone in through the window and shone on the bed. The blood soaked the bed and formed a large black shadow. Xia Qingxin's eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief and anger. Xia Chu swallowed hard and turned her head mechanically. Drip, drip. Beside her was a white hand holding a sharp knife. Blood dripped from her hand and gathered on the ground to form a small bloodstain. Xia Chu let go of her hand. Ah Sheng. Shi Shang shook off Xia Qingxin's hand. The blood-stained knife fell to the ground with a clang. Ah Sheng, why did you block it with your hand? Xia Chu held Shi Shang's hand. The wound was so deep that the bone was almost visible. Xia Chu trembled. She quickly turned on the light and looked for the first aid kit. Now that Xia Qingxin was dead and she, the rightful heir, was here, the Xia family would know who to choose. Xia Chu fumbled for the first aid kit and used the rapid healing spray to stop Shi Shang's bleeding. Are you stupid? Xia Chu sniffed. Does it hurt? No. Shi Shang's voice sounded normal. It really did not hurt. How can it not hurt? Xia Chu's tears were already welling up in her eyes. Do you think I've never been hurt and don't know what it feels like? Ah Shang, you're a human, a person of flesh and blood. Can't you say it hurts in front of me? Xia Chu was a little agitated as she spoke. She had known her for so long and had seen her injured, even on the verge of death, but she had never seen her cry out in pain. Shi Shang was silent for a moment. She opened her mouth. It hurts. Who told you to use your hand? Xia Chu choked. Even if she did not stop Xia Qingxin just now, she would only have suffered some superficial wounds. How could it be like this? Shi Shang did not speak. She cleaned the wound quickly and sprayed it with the spray. The wound healed quickly. She raised her hand in front of Xia Chu. Isn't it healed now? What's there to cry about? I just want to cry. It would have been better if she did not say it. Now that she said it, Xia Chu could not take it anymore. Her tears flowed freely. Don't cry, someone is coming. Shi Shang reminded her calmly. Just now, the two women shouted and ran out. They had taken care of the people below, but there were still people outside. It was about time for them to come up. Xia Chu wiped her face carelessly. Footsteps sounded from outside almost at the same time. A group of people rushed into the room and saw Xia Chu Wei looking at them expressionlessly with reddened eyes. Behind her was Xia Qingxin, who was lying in a pool of blood. This, Xia Qingxin, is rebelling. Do you want to rebel too? Xia Chu showed the aura of an heir. I'm not dead yet. The group of people looked at each other and didn't say anything for a long time. The atmosphere was deadlocked. Xia Chu followed what Shi Shang had taught her. Even if she did not have a trump card, she had to act as if she was willing to accept it. If she knew how to scare them, everything would be easier. Eldest Miss. I didn't do it willingly. Second Master forced me. Someone stood out, his voice trembling. Xia Chu was the designated heir. The whole Xia family and even the other 6 families and the royal family knew that as long as Xia Chu did not die, she would be the heir. That was why Xia Qingxin was so eager to kill Xia Chu. Only when Xia Chu died would he have the chance to become the head of the family. But now that Xia Chu was standing here, those who listened to Xia Qingxin's words immediately turned against him. Xia Chu's people rushed in and subdued these people. This unforeseen event could be said to be frightening but not dangerous. Xia Chu was, of course, most grateful to Shi Shang for giving her advice and helping her get injured. Master Xia was dead. After Xia Chu held a funeral for Master Xia, she began to prepare for the succession ceremony. Shi Shang had to return to the front line. He and Xia Chu could not both leave. Although Xia Chu was reluctant, she knew that they could not be together all the time. On the day Xia Chu inherited the Xia family, Shi Shang specially rushed back. But he left again after 2 days. Xia Chu realized that being the head of the family and Shi Shang being the head of the family were 2 completely different things. She always had endless things to deal with, endless meetings to attend, and endless people to meet. On the other hand, Shi Shang was not at the Shi family most of the time, but the Shi family was well behaved and did not cause any trouble. Ah Shang, tell me, how can I be like you? Xia Chu lay on the bed and had a video call with Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng seemed to be dealing with something and did not continue speaking. Xia Chu stared at the girl opposite her in boredom. It seemed that Ah Shang's appearance had not changed much. Ever since Ah Shang took over the Shi family, she had always maintained this appearance. She had changed a lot, but her appearance seemed to have been frozen in time, at the most beautiful age. Ah Shang. Xia Chu was going crazy. She wanted to go to the battlefield too. How could she deal with all these unfinished things? After Shi Shang was done with his work, Xia Chu lay on the bed with her head buried in the blanket. She might have fallen asleep. Shi Shang hesitated for a moment. Are you asleep? Xia Chu raised her head abruptly. No, why are you so busy? Shi Shang took off his military cap, unbuttoned his military jacket, and threw it aside. His beautiful hair fell down, and his face became much gentler. The interstellar pirates have been rampant recently, and there have been a lot of battles. How are you? Busy. Xia Chu summarized her current situation in one word. I'm going crazy. If I knew that being the head of the family was so tiring, I wouldn't have done it. She wanted to help her brother fulfill his wish, but who knew that she would be imprisoned in the Xia family in the end? Since you've made your choice, don't back down. Shi Shang leaned against the back of the chair and relaxed. We never had a way out. Ah Shang, don't be so negative. There will always be someone who is willing to pave the way for you. Xia Chu sat cross-legged on the bed. Shi Shang stared at the girl in the video for a long time before saying, maybe. By the way, I forgot to tell you that Ji Yi has been asking me out recently. Do you think I should say yes? Ha! She rarely heard Xia Chu mention Ji Yi. The Ji family wasn't on the capital star, so they probably didn't have many chances to meet. Why did she suddenly mention Ji Yi now? Xia Chu scratched her head. You know that I'm engaged to him. If I keep rejecting him, it'll be so awkward when we get married. But if I go, I don't know what to say to him. It'll be quite awkward. Shi Shang still looked like she didn't quite understand. Xia Chu sighed. I just want to ask you what to do. Do you want to go? Shi Shang asked. We'll be husband and wife in the future. I don't want to live with a stranger. Then go. But what will I say to him? Play it by ear. Do you think it's a war? Play it by ear. Or do we have to come up with a plan? Shi Shang was puzzled. Xia Chu. Sigh. Her Ah Shang was a pure and simple person. How would she know what a date was? Xia Chu waved her hand. Forget it. I'll figure it out myself. When are you coming back? I've recently learned a new refining method and want to make something for you. I should be back soon. There's something I need to deal with in the Shi family. Your family's matters are waiting for you to deal with. Xia Chu's face was exaggerated with surprise. Her family's matters were all waiting for her to deal with. Although they said the same thing, they had completely different meanings. Oh no, I want to be a couple with Xia Chu and Shi Sheng. Ah, I must be possessed. Tell me I'm not the only one who has such a scary idea. Monthly votes. Only monthly votes. Only monthly votes. Chapter 1963. As soon as the war ended, Shi Shang rushed back to the capital star. There were a lot of things waiting for her to deal with in the Shi family, so she did not go to Xia Chu immediately. She only went to look for Xia Chu after she finished dealing with the pile of things. When she arrived at the Xia family, she did not see Xia Chu, but she saw Ji Dai. Ji Dai was still a little afraid of her. She looked at her from afar and hesitated for a long time before coming over. Patriarch and young Master Ji Yi went out, Ji Dai whispered. Okay, I'll wait for her here, Shi Shang said calmly. Ji Dai hesitated a few times and glanced at Shi Shang from the corner of her eyes. After a while, she left. It was already evening when Xia Chu was sent back by Ji Yi. When she heard from Ji Dai that Shi Shang was here, she hurriedly went to Shi Shang. Ah Shang, Ah Shang. Shi Shang looked up and saw Xia Chu running toward him as usual. Even her clothes could not hide her enthusiasm. Shi Shang put a hand on her forehead to stop her from coming closer. "You're a patriarch. Why are you still like a child?" Xia Chu leaned over and pounced on Shi Shang from the side. "I always pretend to be mature in front of those people. Do you want me to pretend to be mature in front of you too? I'm so tired." Shi Shang was helpless. He pulled Xia Chu, who was like a sticky candy. "Have you gained weight recently? You're so heavy." No matter what era, the words fat and heavy were extremely lethal to girls. Xia Chu's face fell. "How am I fat?" "Don't talk nonsense, Ah Sheng. Get down." "No." Shi Shang looked at Xia Chu. Xia Chu smiled back at Shi Shang. Her eyes were full of smiles. Shi Shang could not do anything to Xia Chu. She hung on Shi Shang like a koala bear. "Ah Shang, let me take you to see something." "Get down first. Otherwise, how are we going to go?" Shi Shang pulled her hand. "Carry me." Xia Chu made an even more outrageous request. Shi Shang. In the end, Shi Shang carried Xia Chu on his back. Xia Chu wrapped her arms around his neck and pointed the way. Suddenly, she stopped talking. "Ah Shang, I miss my brother." It was really tiring to manage a family. She had never felt so tired before. Back then, her brother had shouldered the entire Xia family on his shoulders. She did not know how tired her brother was. She only knew that every time she played, her brother would accompany her. She was so immature back then. She was alone in the Xia family and had no one to rely on. It seemed that she could only find that long-lost sense of security from Ah Sheng. Shi Shang responded to her with silence. Xia Lin. She had to take good care of Xia Chu. Xia Chu's emotions came and went quickly. When she reached the place, she had already recovered. She jumped down and dragged the Shi Shang to the basement of the building. This basement should be where the Xia family stored their weapons. There were many things that Shi Shang had never seen before. "These things can't be taken out," Xia Chu explained to the Shi Shang. "They're too lethal and can easily cause chaos. Those over there are semi-finished products and failed products. These are all finished products. I'll let you try them when you have the chance." Xia Chu winked at the Shi Shang. "But I can't do it now. There are some things that I haven't fully learned yet." If she wanted to fully master the Xia family, she had to learn all the refining techniques of the Xia family. She still had a lot to learn now. "This way." Xia Chu dragged the Shi Shang further inside. "Master." Suddenly, someone called them from behind. Xia Chu rolled her eyes and turned to look at the person. "Third Elder." The person came from the corner of another passage. Perhaps he saw Xia Chu bringing someone in and called out to them. This was the forbidden area of the Xia family. Outsiders were not allowed to enter. "You are family head Shi?" Seeing the person standing beside his family head, Third Elder choked for a moment. How could it be her? Master Shi and Master Shi had a good relationship. They all knew about the day of Xia Qingxin's death. But Xia Chu had gone too far by bringing him here. "Family head, how can you bring family head Shi here?" "Third Elder, Ah Shang is the closest person to me. She won't harm me or the Xia family." "Master, you're the master of the family. The entire Xia family is in your hands. You can't be so casual." Third Elder frowned. This person was sinister. "She wouldn't harm you now, but what about in the future?" "I'll go out," Shi Shang said. "Just take out the things and show me." "No." Xia Chu grabbed Shi Shang's hand and met Third Elder's gaze. She said firmly, "Third Elder, you said that I'm the master. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. Don't worry about it." "Master." Xia Chu grabbed Shi Shang and ran forward. Her Ah Shang wouldn't harm her. Third Elder stomped his feet in anger. If Shi Shang was an ordinary person, he could find someone to throw her out. But she was the master of the Shi family. And she wasn't someone to be trifled with. These people talk about it all day. It's so annoying. Xia Chu ran for a distance and let go of Shi Sheng. She complained to her, I really don't know why those people care so much about this position. They work themselves to death every day. If they don't make a good decision, they'll be scolded. Power and status have always been sought after by the world. It was because of these things that things like her father happened. Shi Sheng's eyes darkened. She patted Xia Chu's shoulder. Since you're in this position, you must sit tight. Don't let those who want your life have a chance to do it. Sheng, why are you like this too? Xia Chu sighed. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just tired. I'm still here. Xia Chu looked up. Her figure was reflected in the girl's black eyes. It was so clear. Xia Chu smiled. Yes. Her Shang was still here. She still had so many things to do. She couldn't be a coward. Xia Chu brought Shi Sheng to the last room. This should be the place where Xia Chu usually learned how to refine weapons. It was a mess and there was almost no place to walk. The only thing that was relatively tidy was the table in the room. There were many things on it, all of which seemed to be finished products. From left to right, each piece was more exquisite than the last. This was probably a reflection of Xia Chu's progress. Xia Chu pulled Shi Shang to the table and took out a rectangular box from the middle. Open it and see. Shi Shang opened the box. A dagger lay inside. There were no extra decorations, but the blade was sharp and cold. Shi Shang glanced at Xia Chu. Xia Chu motioned for Shi Shang to take it out. Shi Shang lowered her eyes to look at the dagger in the box. This dagger. It was given to her by Shi Mu. Later, it was lost on the battlefield. She went to look for it but couldn't find it. At that time, she didn't use this dagger much. She was just used to carrying it with her. But she didn't expect to see it here. Its appearance didn't change much, but she could feel that this dagger was completely different from before. These chapters seem to be getting sweeter and sweeter. If this goes on, I might really be on Chu Sheng's side. Sob, stop me. Chapter 1964. Shi Shang didn't know when Xia Chu would be able to find it, but deep down, she was touched. She clenched the dagger. Thank you. Haha, I knew you'd like it. Xia Chu smiled and picked up another box from the table. This is for you too. There was a bracelet in the box. It was made of a stone that Shi Shang didn't recognize. It was polished and smooth, and each stone was as clear as a crystal. It's beautiful under the sun. Xia Chu said, but I don't think you'd like it. I made it casually. You might need it in the future, just in case. Xia Chu didn't expect that her casual words would come in handy after such a long time. Okay. Shi Shang put away the bracelet. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a lot of things piled up on the table next to the table. He seemed to be forging something. She asked, What's that? Xia Chu looked over. Oh, Ji Yi said he wanted me to forge a weapon for him. You know that the Xia family can forge personal weapons, so I agreed. It's a good opportunity to practice. Ji Yi. Shi Sheng frowned. Are you close to him now? We're okay. He asked me out a few times. Ji Yi is very polite and I feel good getting along with him. He's good at taking care of people. Life with him in the future should be pretty good. Shi Shang looked at the unfinished weapon and frowned. But he didn't say anything in the end. That was the first time Shi Shang knew that Xia Chu was forging a weapon for Ji Yi. The same thing happened several times after that. Although Ji Yi paid for it, Shi Shang still felt that Xia Chu was being used. The Xia family had its own rules. For example, the Xia family would only forge a weapon for one member of a family. No matter how much money the other members had, they wouldn't be allowed to forge a weapon. It would be useless if someone impersonated them. When the Xia family forged a weapon, the user's DNA would be added. No one else could use the weapon except for that person. Ji Yi was completely using her relationship with Xia Chu. But Shi Shang was an outsider, so she couldn't say anything. Xia Chu and Ji Yi were engaged. There was no doubt about this. The Xia family recognized Ji Ye's identity. No one would say anything if Xia Chu forged a weapon for him. Xia Chu's birthday party. Shi Shang attended the banquet as the representative of the Shi family. The Shi family's reputation was gradually growing. Whether it was in terms of wealth or strength, the Shi family was transforming. And all of this was because of the head of the Shi family, Shi Shang. This young lady used bloody means to obtain the Shi family. Everyone thought that she wouldn't be able to hold on for long before the Shi family fell. But unexpectedly, not only did the Shi family not decline, they even started to become stronger. No matter where Shi Shang went, no one dared to look down on this little girl. The third time Caesar met Shi Shang was at Xia Chu's birthday party. She stood beside Xia Chu and calmly looked at the guests coming and going. She restrained her hostility, but there was a hint of indifference. It was as if these people had nothing to do with her and she was just looking at unimportant things. She was completely different from Xia Chu, who was chatting with others with a gentle smile. Caesar was very puzzled. How could these two people become friends? Shi Shang and Xia Chu stood there for a while and couldn't stand it anymore. He told Xia Chu to go to the back. Shi family head. A slightly roguish man blocked her way. Do you still remember me? Fourth prince. Shi Shang's tone was calm. What can I do for you? Shi family head still remembers me. Caesar seemed to be very surprised. She acted as if they didn't know each other the previous 2 times they met. Shi Shang didn't reply. Caesar laughed rudely. Shi family head did a good job in the last battle. Father said that he wants to reward you. There's no need. Shi Shang walked past Caesar. Shi family head, I'm looking forward to going to the front line with you. She was really smart. She was so smart that people wanted to compete with her. Shi Shang didn't even pause in her steps as she left. It was quieter at the back. When the Xia family saw her, they all retreated and took a detour. Shi Shang appeared more often in the Xia family recently, so these people knew him. But they were still a little scared when they saw him. This girl was much scarier than Shi Shang. Shi Shang didn't expect to see a good show when he just came out for a breath of fresh air. Ji Xian and Ji Yi stood in the corner and talked. Ji Xian looked very emotional and seemed to be crying. Ji Yi comforted her softly and the two of them acted intimately. Shi Shang was angry. She had been tolerating Ji Yi because she saw that Xia Chu really wanted to spend the rest of her life with Ji Yi. But she didn't expect Ji Yi to surprise her every time. Shi Shang listened carefully for a moment. It seemed that she wanted Ji Yi to ask Xia Chu to make her a personal weapon. Ji Yi had no choice but to agree to Ji Xian's request. Ji Xian smiled through her tears. Ji Yi said a few words to her and then left, leaving Ji Xian alone. At that time, Shi Shang hadn't done anything. After the banquet, Ji Yi was drunk and Xia Chu wanted to send Ji Yi back. Ji Xian came out of nowhere. Not only was she disrespectful to Xia Chu, but she also provoked her. She almost said that Ji Yi and she were only engaged. Ji Yi didn't like her at all and asked her to stop pestering Ji Yi. Xia Chu kept silent and let Ji Xian take Ji Yi away. Shi Shang later found out that Ji Xian had said that in front of her more than once. Are you out of your mind? Shi Shang lost his temper in front of Xia Chu for the first time. Who does Ji Yi think he is? You're the head of the Xia family. In terms of status, you're higher than him. Why should you bow down to him? Ah Shang, don't be angry. Xia Chu panicked and reached out to grab Shi Shang's hand. You got along well with him before. Was that a lie? Shi Shang shook off her hand. Xia Chu felt wronged. I just didn't want you to worry. Even if Ji Yi doesn't like me, our engagement can't be cancelled. Ah Shang, don't be angry. This isn't over. Shi Shang left. Ah Shang. Xia Chu couldn't stop Shi Shang. She didn't even bother to put on her clothes and chased after him. It was snowing outside. The snowflakes rustled and the figure in front of her was blurry. "Ah Shang! Ah Shang!" Xia Chu called out several times, but the person in front of her didn't respond. In her anxiety, Xia Chu didn't see the road clearly and tripped on the snow. The snow stuck to her cheeks and she shivered from the cold. She started to feel cold all over. Xia Chu was about to get up when her body was suddenly lifted into the air and wrapped in hot air. "Ah Shang!" Shi Shang sent Xia Chu back without a word and stuffed her into the quilt rudely. Xia Chu held Shi Shang's hand. "Ah Shang, don't go looking for Ji Yi. I have my reasons for this. The Xia family and the Ji family have some ties. I can't cancel the engagement." Xia Chu talked for a long time, but Shi Shang still didn't promise not to make trouble for Ji Yi. In the end, she used her trump card, crying. Shi Shang scolded her and promised not to make trouble for Ji Yi after she coaxed and pestered him. However, Xia Chu found that something was wrong with Ji Xian. Ji Xian's face was full of fear and hatred every time she saw her. The arrogance she used to show off in front of her was long gone. Xia Chu knew that Shi Shang must have done something. At that time, she only promised not to touch Ji Yi, but not Ji Xian. * monthly votes please. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Chapter 1965. Ever since that incident, the days seemed to have calmed down. When Shi Shang was free, he would go back to the front lines. The reputation of the Zhanlong guards gradually spread and made people fear them. As the fourth prince, Shi Shang had interacted with Caesar a few times. Shi Fang, who had become part of the Zhanlong guards, had a good relationship with Caesar. The two of them went to the battlefield together and killed enemies together. It was said that Shi Fang even saved Caesar once. Of course, these were all rumors. Shi Shang didn't like to move with others. He usually moved alone. She didn't know the truth. When she was pulled into that space again, it was on the battlefield. She was almost hit by the enemy's artillery. Suddenly, a silver-white path appeared in front of her. The time flowers on both sides of the path swayed continuously. The power of the Shi family was a gift from the space-time gate to the Shi family to protect it. However, it wasn't as easy for the Shi family to open the space-time gate. During the contract period, as long as you don't violate the rules, the space-time gate will protect you. The voice that appeared before sounded again. It meant that before her life ended, the space-time gate would protect her if she was in any life-threatening situation. It was also that time that Shi Shang knew that she could go to any world. The world she went to for the first time was a world before the end of the era. The space-time gate said that these were all parallel worlds. Some worlds were similar to her background, but some worlds progressed faster while others progressed slower. Of course, there were also completely different backgrounds. For example, the world she went to for the second time was a cultivation world. She didn't stay there for more than 2 days. Those people could fly and had all kinds of cool skills. It was much more convenient than interstellar spaceships and abilities. Of course, she wasn't used to seeing such a world for the first time. Later on, she calmed down. In that world, she couldn't do anything to change the course of the world. She couldn't even take $1 from others to cross the road with a blind person. She was like an observer, wandering between these worlds, watching them grow old and die. Later on, the space-time gate told her that she could bring things back to some worlds. The first thing she brought back was an apocalyptic world. It was a time when zombies ran rampant. However, this world didn't successfully survive the zombie period. Everyone became zombies. The world began to evolve. It was a magical scene. The sky was full of light, and everything was wrapped in the light. It was at that time that the door of time and space told her that she would not be punished if she took away anything from this world. This was because the world was evolving on its own, just like the program's defense system had lost its effectiveness. The things she brought back were all stored in the gate of time and space. Theoretically, it could also be considered a space. most of the time and space portals ignored her. Only when she went to another world, such as the zombie dimension where the evolution process failed, would the time and space portals communicate with her. Otherwise, no matter what she did, she would not be able to communicate with them. The only advantage was that she could freely use the spatial gate to store things. After that, Shang pondered for a while and realized that the dimensional door would occasionally allow her to retrieve some items, and these items were usually the reason why the world could not evolve. Of course, the gate of time and space was concealed. This was something that she had figured out herself. Seeing that she had discovered it, the space-time gate did not hide it from her. It directly told her that this was the responsibility of the contractor of the space-time gate. She had to take away the things that had caused the world's evolution to fail. Otherwise, the world would never be able to evolve again. In order to repay the contractor can also take away some other things as a reward. She met the Iron Sword in a cultivation world. When she went there, the Iron Sword had already begun to go around killing creatures. They were not humans. They were living creatures. As long as they were alive, it would not let them go. Shang came out of the space-time tunnel and was almost thrown under its blade. At that time, there were people working together to deal with it, so the Iron Sword did not notice its sudden appearance. She did not know why, but at first glance, she felt that the Iron Sword was very pleasing to the eye. It was as if something was attracting her, telling her that she must hold that sword. At that time, the Iron Sword was very beautiful. It was as if it had been carefully crafted by someone. Every pattern was vivid and lifelike. She asked around and found out about the origin of the sword. The story that she had told Feng Jing was true. Someone had offered this sword to the emperor of this place. He had told the emperor that as long as he sacrificed his soul, he could forge a soul sword that belonged to him and would help him unify the world. Of course, the emperor did not offer any sacrifices. The person who had offered the sword had told the emperor that he could use the souls of 99 babies as a sacrifice to forge a soul sword. In order to unify the world, the emperor had people capture 99 babies and sacrifice them. This story was true up to this point. She had made up the latter part of the story. The truth was that the emperor's sacrifice of 99 babies had failed. However, because the sword had been watered with blood, someone had deliberately set up an array on the sword in order to forge it into an evil sword. With the help of the array, the sword had indeed become an evil sword. However, it was an evil sword that could not be controlled. The Iron Sword began to kill living creatures. The first to suffer was the emperor's country. Then, it was the other sects, schools, and families. Countless people worked together to destroy the sword, but no one could do it. They could only use their blood to increase the sword's strength. Shang was an outsider. The Iron Sword sometimes ignored her. With the help of the space-time gate, she watched safely as the sword killed everyone in this world. It stood on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Shang stood in the pool of blood and looked up at the sword at the top. The red light in her eyes converged into a line. She stepped on the corpses and walked up. The space-time gate suddenly advised her not to come any closer and to leave this world. Shang asked the space-time gate what would happen to this world if she did not retrieve the sword. The space-time gate replied that if she could not retrieve the sword, this world would disappear along with the Iron Sword so as not to affect other worlds. Sometimes, some worlds would produce a terrifying force. For example, the Iron Sword. This kind of world could not be saved. It could only be destroyed. Shang thought for a while and decided to go up. There were not many things that could please her. Since she liked it, she would give it a try. She would not give herself a chance to regret. Although the space-time gate had not been contracted with Shang for a long time, it knew her temperament well. After it failed to persuade her, it fell silent. When Shang obtained the Iron Sword, she was almost half dead. She wandered around these worlds and learned many things. She used a very domineering contract to subdue the Iron Sword temporarily. However, it was only temporary. The Iron Sword resisted several times and made Shang embarrassed. Later, the Iron Sword found that the more it resisted, the stronger the contract between it and Shang became. Therefore, it stopped resisting and fell silent. Chapter 1966. Shi Shang took the iron sword back and took it out. It had become an ordinary iron sword and its power had been greatly reduced. Even so, it still looked vicious and was more dangerous than any other weapon. Just getting close to it would make people panic. The space-time gate said that this was called self-sealing. Because it did not want to admit that Shi Shang was its master, it had sealed most of its power. The space-time gate also said that this was considered good. If it had really followed them in its previous form, Shi Shang would not have been able to suppress it. Perhaps the entire interstellar would be in trouble. The space-time gate told Shi Shang not to use this sword. Later, Shi Shang showed this sword to Xia Chu. Xia Chu said the same thing and told her not to use this sword. Of course, Shi Shang was not willing to do so. Later, as mentioned before, Xia Chu helped him suppress the iron sword's vicious energy. Shi Shang only found out after a long time that Xia Chu had used a forging technique that only the head of the Xia family could learn. She used her spiritual power, or the power of the soul, to suppress the vicious energy of the iron sword. However, at the same time, the vicious energy would enter Xia Chu's body. The vicious energy could not be eradicated. When she could not control the vicious energy, she would die. This was the main reason why Xia Chu's resurrection was so painful. Of course, at that time, Shi Shang did not know that Xia Chu had sacrificed so much for him. In fact, Shi Shang did not use the iron sword much in the interstellar, so many people did not know that he had such a sword. When Shi Shang obtained the iron sword, something happened. The fourth prince, Caesar, died. She knew about this from Shi Feng. Her impression of Caesar was probably the time when he let her go on the warship. After that, she really hated Caesar, so she did not want to have much contact with him. However, Caesar was always tirelessly trying to get close to her, which allowed her to have a certain understanding of this fourth prince. He was capable, resourceful, and scheming. She couldn't understand why such a prince would suddenly die. The royal family had its own rules. The sudden death of a prince was something they should worry about. Shi Shang didn't really care. If Caesar was still alive and he was in trouble, she could help him once and return his favor. But now that he was dead, she wouldn't try to find out the truth like everyone else. Who knew what kind of mentality Caesar had when he let her go? Shi Feng, on the other hand, was depressed over this matter for a long time. It was only when he got busy later that he gradually forgot about Caesar. Another autumn. The frost trees on Frost Moon Street were still covered in frost, as if autumn had come early. Xia Chu and Shi Shang were walking on the street. Xia Chu was in low spirits. "I'll be back soon. Why do you look so sad?" Shi Shang's temperament had changed in recent years. He was not as taciturn as before. "I can't bear to part with you." Xia Chu snorted. "If you leave, where am I going to find someone to help me deal with those huge documents?" Shi Shang. Shang. Xia Chu held Shi Shang's hand. "You'll find someone who'll treat you well in the future." "Why are you suddenly saying this?" She was just going to the front line. With her speed, she would definitely be back before the new year. But Xia Chu's sudden behavior made Shi Shang suspicious. "No. My wedding date with Ji Yi has been decided." "I'm just sighing." Xia Chu smiled brightly. "When I get married to Ji Yi, you'll be alone." "Are you really going to marry Ji Yi?" How could someone like Ji Yi be worthy of Xia Chu? Xia Chu just smiled. Shi Shang didn't understand the emotions in her eyes at that time. It didn't matter. Anyway, she was going to die soon. Shang, I can't save the Xia family, and I can't fulfill my brother's wish. But I can pave a path for you. I hope you can go further and live a carefree life. Every time Shi Shang recalled that time, if he had been more cautious, he would have noticed something wrong with Xia Chu. But why didn't she notice it at all? Did Xia Chu hide it too well, or was she too confident? Shi Shang didn't know the answer, and she would never be able to return to that day. On the day she left the capital star, Xia Chu came to see her off and gave her the war song. That was the first time Shi Shang heard the song. Xia Chu's voice was soft and not suitable for singing such a song, but she thought it sounded good. Shi Shang boarded the battleship with the gift. "Ah Shang!" Xia Chu called out to Shi Shang. Ignoring the people around, she quickly ran through the crowd and threw herself into Shi Shang's arms. Shi Shang had been hugged by Xia Chu many times. In the past, when she left, Xia Chu would suddenly hug him, so Shi Shang just felt a little strange, but didn't think much of it. Xia Chu said in a light tone, "Ah Shang, I'll wait for you to come back." "Okay." Xia Chu let go of Shi Shang, turned around and ran down the battleship. She stood below and waved at him with a smile. Shi Shang didn't expect that would be the last time he and Xia Chu hugged. The war at the front line was far less serious than she had heard in the report. At this time, Shi Shang was already a little uneasy. He deliberately talked to Xia Chu, and everything was normal. She thought she was thinking too much, because there was a large-scale battle the next day, and the losses were very heavy. Shi Shang was caught in a chaotic battle that lasted for a month. Shi Shang didn't expect that there would be a traitor on her side, which led to the failure of the whole plan. She was almost left on a desolate star. Although she returned to the team in the end, she was injured, and the enemy took the opportunity to wipe them out. After Shi Shang dealt with the traitor and regained control of the battle, she received the news that the Xia family was besieged before they could completely wipe out the enemy. Almost at the same time, the enemy got reinforcements from somewhere and trapped her. The Xia family was besieged. She was trapped on the battlefield. Shi Shang couldn't help but think about these two coincidences. Someone did it on purpose. From the moment there was a traitor on her side to now being trapped, everything was to stall for time. Shi Shang asked the Zhanlong guards to rush to the Shi family, but the Zhanlong guards reported that there was a problem with the Shi family. Someone attacked the Shi family, and the Shi family was in a mess. Not only the Shi family, but a few other families were also attacked, and the Xia family was the most seriously injured. "I don't care about the Shi family. Go to the Xia family now. I want to see Xia Chu standing in front of me in one piece. Go." The Zhanlong guards hesitated for a moment before answering, "Yes." Shi Shang ordered his men to break out of the encirclement while contacting Xia Chu. However, Xia Chu didn't reply. It was only when Shi Shang broke out of the encirclement and rushed to the capital star that he contacted Xia Chu. Xia Chu was surrounded by flames. She should be standing in Xia Lin's study. Shi Shang saw the half-burnt music of the four seas. Actually, I don't think Xia Chu is stupid, and she's not that soft-hearted. Think carefully, this young lady is very shrewd. Oh, I beg for votes next month. Chapter 1967. Ah Sheng. Xia Chu's face was pale and flames danced in her eyes. Shi Shang's eyes widened. "What are you doing? Get out of there." Xia Chu smiled. She opened her mouth and a familiar voice came. "Ah Shang, I'm not here anymore. You have to live well and find someone who will treat you well." "Xia Chu." Shi Shang stood up and shouted, "The Zhanlong guards will be here soon. Hang in there." Xia Chu shook her head. "Ah Shang, I can only accompany you to this point. You have to walk the rest of the way by yourself." She wiped her eyes and forced her voice to sound normal. "I can't bear to leave you, but I have to find my brother." "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Ah Shang, I have one last request. I hope you can agree to it." Xia Chu did not dare to look at Shi Shang. "Ji Dai. Let Ji Dai live. She betrayed you." Shi Shang had already received news from the Zhanlong guards. The reason why the Xia family fell so quickly was because of Ji Dai. "You still want to protect her?" Xia Chu shook her head. "Ah Shang, I beg you. Let her live. Those who betray you will die a horrible death." "Ah Shang." Xia Chu's eyes glistened with tears. "I beg you. Impossible." "Ah Shang, I'm going to die." The flames grew bigger and bigger, almost engulfing Xia Chu's figure. "Why? Shi Shang grabbed the table. Her nails broke from the force, but she did not feel any pain. What's so good about her? She betrayed you, but you still protect her. Xia Chu smiled. There's nothing good about her. She's not as strong as you. She's not as smart as you. She can't compare to your trust in me. She's the only light I see in the darkness. There's a saying in ancient times, a moth darts into the flame. Because she's the light, I don't care about my own safety. Ah Shang, I'm leaving. I can't accompany you anymore. Ah Shang, you have to be well. Xia Chu. The flames engulfed Xia Chu's figure. Her figure flashed twice and disappeared in front of Shi Shang. The surroundings returned to silence. Shi Shang always thought that Xia Chu's last words were for Ji Dai, but when she found out the truth, she realized that it was Xia Chu's words. When she returned to the capital star, the Xia family had turned into a pile of ruins. Only the door was intact, showing that there had once been a glorious family here. When the Zhanlong guards arrived, the entire Xia family was surrounded by flames. The flames were radioactive and the Zhanlong guards did not dare to go near them. The flames had only been extinguished a day ago, but the place had already been reduced to ruins. She was fine when she left, but when she came back, she became like this. The girl who always smiled and called her Ah Shang was also buried in this fire forever. Shi Shang didn't find Xia Chu's body, but he caught Ji Dai. Ji Dai was covered in blood. She knelt on the ground with her head lowered. Shi Shang walked up to her. She asked me to let you go, but you know that's impossible. I won't let you go. You have to go down and accompany her. The death of a traitor was not to be regretted. Ji Dai's body trembled as she replied in a low voice, I know. Can you give me another month? Just 1 month. After 1 month, I will use my death as an apology. Shi Shang looked at the ruins in the distance. Xia Chu's last plea made Shi Shang agree to Ji Dai's request. Just as Shi Shang said, she might have been mad at that time. She didn't know what sadness was. She kept telling herself that she wasn't sad at all. She used her anger to cover the rest of her emotions. Why was the Xia family attacked? There was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. Shi Shang understood the whole story and couldn't suppress his anger. The first to be unlucky was the royal family. Those who were involved in this incident all died under that sword. The capital fell into chaos and no one seemed to be able to stop her. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the capital was bathed in blood. During that time, almost every street was covered in blood. Those who tried to stop her from killing those who were involved in this incident were not spared. When the people of the capital were fleeing, she suddenly took her people and evacuated. The entire Shi family began to evacuate. At first, some people were unwilling, but Shi Shang didn't care. If they wanted to leave, they could leave. If they didn't want to leave, then so be it. When the Shi family evacuated, the spaceships left the capital one after another. No one dared to stop them. Everyone thought that she would continue to massacre the capital after the Shi family left. However, after the Shi family left, she left as well. At the port, Shi Shang stood on the spaceship and looked down at the army below like an emperor. From today onwards, your honor and disgrace have nothing to do with the Shi family. Shi Shang's voice sounded and was blown into everyone's ears by the wind. She guarded the front line for them and didn't let anyone steal the resources of the Nether Galaxy. Yet, they repaid her in this way. The royal family didn't dare to challenge Shi Shang. They were afraid that she would continue to kill people. The sword in her hand was very evil. They didn't want to provoke this evil star. Those who were involved were all dead. Not a single one was left alive. What surprised everyone was that she didn't kill the innocent. The turmoil caused by the Shi family's departure wasn't small. Not long after the Shi family left, the big families that were originally on the capital also began to move away. Although their movements weren't as big as Shi Shang's, it still made people panic. The people who didn't know the truth were very confused. What exactly happened that made the big families start to move away? Before the curtain fell on the news of the big families leaving the capital, another piece of news came. The Shi Shang and the alliance were fighting. The reason was that she snuck into the alliance and killed one of their generals. How could it be a small matter if she killed one of their generals? Not only did she kill one of their generals, but she also killed another not long after. The alliance searched the entire world for her, but the result was shocking. This Shi family head seemed to have cheated. So many people from the alliance tried to kill her, but not only did they fail, they even lost their own people. Following that, people from the alliance kept dying, and the people who died were all of high status. In a short period of time, Shi Shang offended almost all the high-ranking officials and dignitaries in the alliance. The alliance was so angry that they put a bounty on Shi Shang. Shi Shang looked fearless. No matter who came, they were all taken care of by her. No one accepted the bounty, and the alliance was so angry that they stomped their feet. At this time, the alliance's reserves were robbed by Shi Shang. She was like a ghost, always appearing in unexpected places and catching people off guard. Shi Shang and the alliance had a feud, and this caused the underworld galaxy to be unable to join the alliance. The fourth prince and Shi Shang were no longer guarding the underworld galaxy, and the entire underworld galaxy became the main target of the pirates. Shi Shang said that he would draw a clear line with the underworld galaxy, and he really meant it. As long as the pirates didn't provoke her, she wouldn't even frown even if the pirates robbed her in front of her. Shi Shang's personality was obviously more unpredictable. In the past, she didn't want to communicate with people, and she didn't want to stand on the same line as stupid mortals. But now, she had evolved to the point where I was talking to them, and they were all lucky. If she didn't like someone, she would say a few words, and if she said something wrong, she would start a fight. Thus, the entire galaxy was in a mess. And her reputation was getting worse and worse. Countless people hated her, but they couldn't do anything to her. Sometimes, Shi Shang was a bit lost too. Shi Shang wanted her to live. Xia Chu also wanted her to live. So she lived. Stepping on blood and bones, she walked to the throne covered in thorns. End of drama. Finally, these 3 words were typed. Because everyone knew more about the later parts, they wrote it more concisely. The main reason was that there wasn't enough space, and people with obsessive-compulsive disorder couldn't afford it. As for Ji Yi and Ji Xian, they were really unimportant. They were just passers-by. Chapter 1968. Glory Lyrics Complete Version. The dusty blood is boiling, the cold armor is clamoring, the beginning of the separation of flesh and bone lamentation plays in heaven and earth, lighting up the beacon, the battlefield of light and shadow blood roams in the darkness, devouring hearts holding on with no place to tell sin ignites in despair, obliterating good sleeping beasts open their evil eyes fighting and shaking the sky, vengeful spirits cry resolutely faith is like light, illuminating the way ahead hand in hand through a troubled world fighting side by side, with honor and disgrace you walk on the light, break through the darkness, break through the shackles, turn into a light compass, you come against the wind, break through the fog, break through the cage, the commander reverses the chess game, flesh and blood destroy the blade, stepping on the bones to fight souls board the battleship, splashing blood and singing beheading thousands of troops and horses for glory, breaking through the ambush from 10 sides. Drinking hard liquor, and friends are proud, saber light and sword shadow, good and evil are separated by the 2 ends of the galaxy, battle armor remains. Life and death block the horizon, you walk on the light, break through the darkness, break through the shackles, turn into a light compass, you come against the wind, break through the fog, break through the cage, the commander reverses the chess game, rising and falling in heaven and earth. Fighting to the death, millions of corpses lie at the top of the galaxy. Wordless monuments stand still, looking into the distance, returning forever, the years offer sacrifices to the dead on all sides of the sky, war is not over, wanton enmity above the galaxy, you are the ruler, read. May you be as bright as the sea of stars, glorious for all ages, everlasting may you be as dazzling as the moon and the stars, invincible, and famous for all ages may you be as dazzling as the stars, shocking the mountains and rivers, and making heaven and earth surrender. A long review. From a certain big sister, summarizing the names of every plane, I like it very much. Queen Su left with the moon, the Chu Palace in the spring, the Tang Tang in the snow. The Yellow Emperor crossed the river and returned in the evening. Lu Ji passed away in the end. Participating in the Shang dynasty, I sigh and sigh at the different road. Fenggu frivolously quits the old agreement. Her bright eyes gazed towards the southeast. Thousands of flowers fell, and Jiuli repeated. Bai Chen Yao lived a simple life. Fu Shuo said that his pillow cracked. Chu Yun soars to the west, Shi Feng flies to the west, Ji Chuanla travels to the west, Yen rides the moon. The peach blossom Shen Zhanxi is dazzling, Bu Shang Lianhua is startling the cloud acupoint. For a lifetime, Ning Yin she is cold and jade-like. A sword seals the border, she is embroidered with blood. Ascending the blue clouds, the world is peaceful, a smile on your face is full of disdain. The sovereign descends to the world, she is still worried about parting, the spirit returns, she makes a contract. Flourishing Xia Liuhua in the flourishing age, Yu by Bei Lin Shi Jiu Quebec thinking of old friends in the dark night, the strings of the zither suddenly break, the silence in the forest. Qiao Mu and Shi Si have just formed in the south, while Qin Mingyue and Shi Gu are in the north. Completely unadorned, showing off her beauty, a bright pearl wipes her clothes clean. The sun picked blue flowers and the trees were deep, making the Shiqi pavilion dazzling. Yushi has no choice but to ripple, the waves are clear and the cold shadow is slanted. The sun shines brilliantly, looking up at the golden crow. The moonlight is silent, hair like snow. The willow flowers are misty, the willow catkins are disorderly, the music is not over yet, the long hateful cut. The blooming flowers are hazy in the sky, the moon is hazy, one side is startled by the calamity on the string. The face is as smooth as cotton, the seat is not warm, it is not the old principle. Waving the hand, the bamboo does not return, the small water ripples and dreams. Sorrowful tears stain the clothes, the soft whistling has no trace of love. The sound of the phoenix perching on the parasol branch is still there, the mountains and rivers are not silver, the small heart is gone. The steps are not stopped, the palm of Mengli, the 4 April Weixiaxi, what is the explanation? The rest of my life has no thoughts, I think of the early summer, the 10 years of today I live in disgrace. The season is only mourning the flow of fireflies, the person is no longer she or returning to the moon. Under the upright tree, the old is peaceful, even the reason has left, she sinks down. The moth-like eyebrows of Qin disappear, the surging Jianghan has no room. The warm wind begins to arrive, the guests of heaven and earth, the north is cold and the north is exhausted. The wind is full of tall buildings, the moon rises, Huilon Qi Qi Shi, the soul is afraid. The letter is written in a low voice, the words are clear and melodious, the rhythm is repeated. The soul is restless, Shiyu Chiluo, Mu Si is home all day long. Although the world is blazing, you have already left. Where is the magpie in the middle of July? The South Pole is clear, Bai Ji is born, Qizhou is like the heart of the abyss in the past. Guyu has just arrived, Qizhou is blue, the leaves are bleak, Chen Ju. The dazzling light has not faded, the 4 herds of industry, Shi Yu's letter. You go to the spirit world, the stream is cold, the sea of stars waves like eyelashes. The Luo River has a quiet and beautiful woman, Su World stands alone in a bitter struggle. Where is Jiang Nuyo now? The green sandalwood leaves fall, she recites the words of Confucius. The 4 seasons change, Shi Sheng Xiao is gone, Feng Fei Ci Huang Shiyu is gone. At the beginning, Cheng Shi went to Shi He, Qiao Zi gave birth to Qi Shi Qing lost. The red brocade is for the carp, looking across the water, Ing Yan's voice is heard. This era is difficult to write, the parasol trees are sorrowful, the ancient temple is silent to the bone. The gentle voice plays with the ice string, Dong Jun has fallen, Yu Ling Ju. The sword is decorated with tassels, the keepsake is preserved, the tea is cold and the brocade is written. The achievements of the 5 emperors surpass the morning sun, the moon falls and the stars sink, the North Pole is extinguished. The green stone points die Shi, the sun rises in the west, Jiang Zhou has the order to confer nobility. Yao Yao is silent, staining the red leaves, Luoluo Yu Ji soaks in the ancient temple. The 16th star gathers Shi Liang Ji, the 12th era Shi Ong Chuyu. The morning light asks the road ahead, the moon in the mirror is about to fade. The journey is slow to look to the west, the history of the long banquet. The sky is clear, the irises are in full bloom, looking at the moon, Yu Shi Hua is like snow. The pepper is scattered, Yu Lai is unhappy, his shadow is lonely, death is silent. After 443 days, the Shi Sheng is officially finished. Thank you for your companionship over the past year. I have met many lovely cherub. It was you who supported me to continue writing, it was you who gave me the motivation. These 4 million words are like a fortress, and you are the people who supported me in building this fortress. At first, I only planned to update 6,000 words, and 10,000 words were part of my crazy series. I didn't expect that I would be crazy for so many months. You have also been crazy with me for so many months. Very lucky, very happy. After nearly 3 years of writing, I never thought that one day I would write a book with 4 million words. Being able to meet you is my greatest fortune. During the writing of this book, many things happened. For example, there were comments everywhere, comparing the Shi Sheng to others. Perhaps some little cuties really like the Shi Sheng, but this kind of behavior is very impolite. You are my fans, so your behavior also represents me. In the end, other people will only say that the author is bad. Of course, there are also pure anti-fans who criticize for the sake of criticizing. I have nothing to say to these people. The world is so big, and there are thousands of flowers. You prefer the snow lotus, and I like the peony. We have different preferences, so don't hurt each other. Being magnanimous and letting others go is also letting yourself go. Whether you are an anti-fan or a true fan, this book ends here. For this, we have to say goodbye. I don't know if you will still be reading the next book. Some cherub said that the next book can't be read, and I am very sorry about that. The only thing I can do is to sincerely thank you for accompanying me to the end of this book.